Igors Garais was born in Germany, but his family later moved to Latvia. Born November 9th, 1922, he passed away January 16th, 2017, at the age of 94. And in his youth, Garais was touted as potentially strong, but it never really amounted to too much. After coming to the United States, immigrating, and settling in Cleveland, which is where this particular edition of the U.S. Open was played, he did not play very often. He was the 1954 Cleveland Open champion, and he had a first-place finish in the 1961-62 Latvian Correspondence Tournament. Other than that, not much to be said. But you can see his rating there of 2014. Bobby's at the time, this would have been a current rating. You can see he was a national master at the time. 2264 was his rating at the time. Igors Garais with e4, Bobby with the Sicilian defense. No surprise to anyone. Knight f3, d6, d4, and we get another open Sicilian with pawn takes pawn and knight takes pawn. Knight f6, knight to c3, and no surprise here either. Another knight or variation with a6. Now this is a little different than what we've seen. g3 is the Zagreb variation. e5 hits the knight, and that knight retreats to e2. Bishop e7 and bishop g2, both sides castle. Now queen's knight to d7, and Igors played pawn h3. The most frequent move is a4, indicated by the green arrow here. Bobby with b5, bishop e3, bishop b7, now f4, getting the big orange question mark. Queen c7 also held in some disdain. I personally do like to get my rook to c8 first. g4, taking a page right out of Bobby's book from the previous round to a great extent. b4 hits that knight, and knight comes to d5. Knight takes the knight, and our eval bar slightly favors black here. Pawn takes the knight. Now pawn takes the pawn on f4, and the annotator recommending queen's rook to e8. Again here, I prefer queen's rook to c8 is the kind of move I like. Get that rook on an open file. And the annotator says, you are out of your mind, Greiner. That is not the move. But when I made this move, the bot does say the best move was pawn takes pawn, which is what Bobby played. But when Bobby played it, the annotator said, no, Fischer, you should have played queen's rook e8. So fickle bot rearing its ugly head once again. So here, three different guys can take this pawn. Which one would you capture with? Garais with the rook. I think I would have taken with the knight myself. Let's see what I get for that. I get a check mark, and the bot says, no, the bishop is the best move. Probably here, black would play rook f e8, check mark, rook a e8. I said rook f e8. Well, rook f e8, rook a e8, either rook. Oh, it's even worse. All right, anyway, coming back to the game, Garais with the rook. Bishop to g5, and yeah, this rook is coming to the e8 file sooner or later. Well, rook e4, rook e4. So bishop takes bishop check and rook takes bishop. Okay, now queen's rook does come to e8. Right, well, earlier I did want rook a to c8, but now this looks pretty good here. You could use the f rook as well in this situation, I would imagine. The bot calling for rook f e8. So rook takes rook, rook takes rook. It really doesn't matter because he's going to play rook takes rook either way, and you're going to get this position either way. So that's just Ficklebot being fickle again. Queen d2 here, getting the question mark, a3 being called for. I don't know, I mean, your knight's under attack, just put it on d4. That's not a bad square for the knight. Let's see what it says to this. No, I'm not doing too good with the annotator today. Sometimes I do well, other times not so well. What can you do? Queen d2 was white's choice here. Now queen c5 check. And knight d4 is still my move here. Seems to be the most resistant move in my mind, but king h1. And finally, I get a move that the bot agrees with. Well, the problem with king h1 is it allows queen f2, pinning and super attacking the knight. We just saw the same tactic at the end of the previous game, and the same tactic ends this game, because white resigned here. If you play rook e1 defending the knight, I will add another attacker on the a6 f1 diagonal. So I will play a5. It doesn't like my idea. I like my idea just fine. After a3, trade the pawns first, and then bishop a6. 3 attackers. And the only other way to add another defender is to take your bishop off of the a8 h1 diagonal. But then that allows the queen to come here. I might not play there yet, though, because is there any way I can get my knight into the game? I might rather get my knight to f3, forking the queen and the rook. That's going to be a move. It says go ahead and take the knight. Well, white is in Zugzwang here, is he not? If you prevent the fork by pushing your bishop back to g2, well, then actually I'll play knight f3 anyway. Because after bishop takes, knight, queen takes comes with check. And then I'll pick up your knight free for nothing. And I think even a blind caveman could probably win from here. Well, in any case, Garais resigning on move 21. Going to the numbers now, Garais did have an accuracy of 86.7, nowhere near good enough when your opponent is playing 97.8. And I think every single Fischer game in this event was above 90. Garais with a single game rating assessment of 2350. Bobby Fischer's single game rating 2950. He just got the better of white in that game. He played better in the opening, and he absolutely capitalized in the middle game.